The courtroom was packed, the air tense with anticipation, when the bailiff called his name. A tall, tired-looking man in a worn jacket stepped forward, clutching a folder that looked like it had been handled 1,000 times. He wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't wealthy. He was a single father and a veteran who had already fought wars on the battlefield and was now fighting his biggest one inside these four walls, for his daughter. The judge leaned back in his chair, smirking. "So, Mr. Walker, you're representing yourself. A janitor with no law degree thinks he can outwit this court." Bold choice. The audience snickered quietly. Even the opposing lawyer raised his brow, as if this was going to be nothing more than an amusing waste of time. But what no one knew, not the smirking judge, not the smug attorney, not even the people watching with folded arms, was that beneath the calm exterior of this single dad was a mind sharper than most. He hadn't just studied law in his late nights, he had lived it. Every denied custody hearing, every rejected plea, every paper he had painstakingly read after putting his daughter to bed had carved him into something the court wasn't ready for, a hidden legal genius. The case wasn't just about custody, it was about dignity. His ex-wife's lawyer painted him as unfit, throwing words like unstable veteran, financially incapable, and emotionally volatile into the air like daggers. The judge chuckled at some of the phrases, making it clear where his bias leaned. But the single dad stood tall. When it was his turn to speak, his voice shook for a second, but then steadied with the tone of a soldier who had once commanded men in the middle of chaos. "Your Honor," he said, eyes never leaving the judge's, "I've served this country in ways that cost me sleep, blood, and nearly my life. I've faced enemies who didn't care if I lived to see another sunrise. And now, you expect me to bow my head while a lawyer tells me I'm not fit to raise my daughter, the very reason I kept fighting overseas. No, I've read the law, and I know my rights. I know her rights. And today, you'll see them too." The judge rolled his eyes, but the veteran didn't flinch. He began citing case after case, obscure rulings, precedents the attorney across the aisle clearly hadn't prepared for. The smug expression drained from the lawyer's face as the veteran dismantled every accusation with calm precision. When the judge tried to interrupt, the father respectfully countered with statutes that left even the court stenographer glancing up in surprise. The more he spoke, the more the courtroom shifted. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The turning point came when he pulled out a small notebook, battered and creased, and placed it on the stand. "This," he said softly, "is where I've written every promise I've ever made to my daughter. Every night I've studied while she slept, it was for her. She's not just a case number. She's my little girl, and I'll be damned if I let the system tear us apart because I don't wear a suit or carry a title." The judge, who had mocked him minutes earlier, leaned forward now. His smirk was gone. The veteran's words had stripped away the courtroom's pomp and exposed something raw and undeniable: truth. The lawyer tried to object, but his voice faltered. It was clear he had lost control. The single dad presented evidence that the opposing side had overlooked, showing stability in his finances, a stable home environment, and, most importantly, his daughter's heartfelt letters saying she wanted to stay with her father. The courtroom went silent as those words, written in a child's handwriting, echoed louder than any legal argument could. By the time the closing statements ended, the atmosphere had transformed. The judge, once dismissive, now looked uneasy. He cleared his throat and spoke carefully, as though weighed down by the realization of his own arrogance. "Mr. Walker, this court cannot ignore the dedication and preparation you have displayed. More importantly, we cannot ignore the best interests of the child. Custody is awarded to the father." The gasp in the room was audible. The single dad closed his eyes, tears threatening to break through, and let out a breath that felt like he had been holding it for years. His daughter, waiting in the back row, ran into his arms, clutching him as if she would never let go. The courtroom no longer felt like a battleground. It felt like justice. As the people filed out, the judge quietly nodded toward the veteran, not mockery this time, but respect. And though the man didn't need the judge's validation, it was a reminder: never underestimate the heart of a father who refuses to quit. To everyone watching right now, if this story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of love, resilience, and fighting for what truly matters, don't just leave quietly. Hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Because stories like this aren't just entertainment, They're reminders that even when the odds are stacked, courage and determination can turn the impossible into victory. And maybe, just maybe, the next time someone underestimates you, they'll think twice.